Well, I was really excited to see that Ernie was going to talk about UU Temperaments, and he was going to talk about personality theorists from long ago, up through the 60s. I think that's about the time span of Carl Jung. And it triggered my memory of a book that I read in the late 90s called Exploring Your Spirituality with the Myers-Briggs, Knowing Me and Knowing God by Malcolm Goldsmith. And as some of you probably know, Jung's theory of personality is the basis of the Myers-Briggs. So that's why it triggered my memory. And hopefully I can hold this thing and hold the book at the same time. But I wanted to read you a little bit of an excerpt because I think Malcolm had the idea of what UU is trying to do. The Swiss psychotherapist Carl Jung used to say that he never had a patient in the second half of his or her life whose problem was not ultimately religious. By that he meant that anyone raised in European society, whatever their religious views, had consciously or unconsciously had to face up to ultimate moral, religious, or spiritual issues. But what is the nature of this spiritual quest? What is the destiny? What is its process? How do people choose from the vast array of options available? Why are there so many? It seems strange that so many people spending time in contemplation. The way ahead often seems to be hidden in so many differing and often apparently contradictory practices are followed. The spiritual quest is an important one. People need to be helped to be honest about their experiences. They must work at what is meaningful for them and not feel in order to have any validity. Their own spirituality must in some way approximate some sort of blueprint. If we can discover a spirituality which is authentic for us as individuals, then this can be regarded as a gift of love. It will be something precious which we will wear, if not with pride and assurance, then certainly with gratitude and growing confidence. And I think he kind of had the idea that we do about UU.
James and John, the stage is yours. What are you going to sing?
We're going to sing a song by the great civil rights warrior, Holly Muir.
All right.
I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. There is a hurting in my family, and there is sorrow in my town. There is a panic all across the nation, and there is wailing the whole world round. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. May the children see more clearly, and may the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though they burn our eyes. dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fear. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. So lift me up to the light of change.
Thank you, James and John, for that beautiful, beautiful song. Did you write that? No one ever told us we had to study our lives. So, talking about, the title of my talk is UU Temperament. And I'm going to give you some information, a lot of information, and then you can just do with it what you want to. But I want to mention this cartoon that James gave me last week. And it was a cartoon of this, it was a box, and it had theology written on the side of it. And it had this little fellow pushing this big figure, God, and the caption said, "Get in there, God." You know, get in that box. And that's the way whoever came up with the cartoon was thinking about theology, and that is, theology oftentimes puts God in a little box, you know what I mean? Fits God into these sort of parameters, the box. And, you know, my first thought about that was that one thing I can say about Unitarian Universalists is we don't try to put you in a box in UU. Rather, we try to give you the tools to make your own box and get in it. One of our most popular curricula is, the title of it is Building Your Own Theology. Has anybody ever taken that course before in UU? Any of you? I taught that course several times at the Brevard congregation. But think about that, building your own theology. And what I noticed is that people who didn't have a UU background had a very difficult time doing that. You know, what is my theology? You know, and part of that struggle was that, well, this is what I was taught growing up, and I've never really thought, well, what do I think? And so that course ends with, the very last part of that course is forming your own creed. Now, we don't have creeds in UU. We don't read creeds on Sunday morning. We don't say to people who come to UU, you have to believe in these creeds. We don't do that. And our principles, our third principle, is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, and that's up to you. So you create your own, you have one. You may not be conscious you have one, but your actions and your behaviors will tell you a lot about what you believe. So we don't try to put you in a box here. Rather, we try to give you the freedom and the tools to create your own thoughts. those subjects that are important, religious, spiritual, whatever you want to call them. I love what the Canadian on the Artemis flight, did you hear what he said? He said this. He said that the Artemis mission showcases what humanity can achieve when differences are not just set aside, but actively brought together. When differences are not set aside, but brought together. The mission exemplifies collaboration and unity among diverse individuals. That, to me, defines UU. We are diverse people. We're different. We have different thoughts and different feelings and different experiences when it comes to God or religion. And rather than trying to say that one shoe fits all, we don't do that. So you come here, we'll help you think through and feel through your experiences and put your own life together so that you can feel secure in who you are. Anyway, what got me interested in this topic, I've been interested in it for a long time, and so has humanity. Our ancestors, all throughout history, humans have made efforts to try to determine individual types of people. And I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. But this is nothing new. It's called typology. It's the fancy word for it. But it's just trying to discover what type of person are you? What makes you? What are you made of? Who are you? What type of individual are you? I've always been a sensitive type. I'm probably overly sensitive. I know that about myself. I have a very fragile ego in some ways, but sensitive about certain things. My wife says I'm bullheaded. So I could say some things about her, but Ellen's recording this, so that'll be enough what I just said. Anyway, what really got me excited about this was Mark Twain in his what he calls his animal court, and he's talking about humans being comparable to animals, certain animals. And he's talking about temperament, really, and this is what he says about it before I'll tell you the story about animal court. He says temperament, he says God, but he means nature, okay? So I'm going to say what he says, but he means nature. God gives each person their temperament. Their temperament, their disposition at birth. Now, if you noticed or not, when Don made the newsletter, when he gave an image of my talk today, he put 4 pictures of little babies. Now, Don, why did you do that? You don't know? Okay. Well, we're born with these temperaments, and you can see these in children. You can see temperaments. How many of your teachers have been teachers? And you notice students, then you can say, you know, they're different, aren't they, Joy? And they each have a certain temperament or style. So anyway, nature concedes that every person cannot, by process, change this temperament, but must always remain under its dominion. Now, I don't totally agree with that, because I don't think we're destined necessarily by our temperaments to live out a certain destiny. I'll talk about that more in just a moment. But this is what he says is interesting, and this is why he tells the story. Society may punish one and reward the other. Now he tells the story of the animal court. And what it is that a rabbit, now maybe you identify with one of these animals, a rabbit, or a lion, a wolf, a sheep, a horse, and a fox are brought to trial in the animal court. And they're judged on basically two standards only. One is the military standard. The other is the highly moral standard. And you can guess what's going to happen. The rabbit is put on trial, and because he's a coward and he doesn't want to fight, they hang him. The lion is rewarded a dukedom because of his bravery. So they're both judged on this one standard. The rest, the fox, they're judged on a moral standard. The fox is a tricky, kind of sly figure, and you can guess what's going to happen to him or her. The wolf, you know, in a highly moralistic culture, it's not really good for wolves. You know, so you know what happens to the wolves. The horse, you know, they're a little lenient on the horse, and who did I miss? Then there's the sheep. The sheep. You know, that's what, if you're familiar with the New Testament, that's what the masses of people are called, sheep. So, there you have it. That we live in a society that is not as open as it claims to be. America is not as open. In many ways, very rigid. That people are judged, you know, like the rabbit. Some people are like that, you know. And all these different types living in society and can't get along because, first of all, we don't know that much about types. We don't appreciate or respect types. And I think probably a lot of it is because we really don't know our own selves enough to know kind of where we fit, you know. But that throughout history, humans have always tried to figure out types. And one of those first typologies was to compare people to animals. And I don't know about you, but there's a thing called animal familiar. And it's like, what animal do you identify with? Because maybe that's a way to lead you into trying to figure out what type of person you are. So one of the first typologies was to compare people to animals and the behavior of certain animals. That's a very old one. It dates way back in as far as into Egypt, where not only humans were animals compared to animals, but the deities were animals. The gods and the goddess they were animals. And the reason they were animals and seen as animals is because they were that powerful. They had dominion. So in a sense you could say, well, your temperament and your type has that dominion over you. It has that power over you. It is your fate. Now, I don't believe it's your destiny. I think we can work with our type and we can form it. We can shape it. I heard a geneticist say a couple of weeks ago, genetics is not destiny. Well, you know, I wonder about that because in my own family, I could look at my three daughters and say, she's from the Bly family, she's from the Mills family, and she's from the Edwards family, because they were all so different and they were all different types. But I don't necessarily believe they were destined to be anything, that they could work on that temperament and form it and shape it, and not just be products of your environment. When that happens, we sometimes repress the best part of who we are just to fit into some environment. Now, what typology says is that you're living your life from within out. It's your temperament, it's your disposition. You're living your life from inside out. But yet we live in an environment that's constantly saying, you have to conform to this. You have to be that. You have to look like this. You have to live in this kind of house. You have to make this kind of income. You have to do this, you have to do that. We're constantly bombarded with all those forces that are trying to shape us. You know, it's easier to control people when you can make them into sort of this one size fits all. It's easier to control them. You know, and I mean that's what the church did with creeds. If you put our religion in these creeds, then it's easier to control everybody because you say, well, do you believe in the creed or not? So you got them in this box. So it's easier to put us in these boxes. But then that may not be you. You may be living a lie. You may be trying to do something that you're not. So again, I think it's all this typology is intended to just focus in, turn that vision in, and ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? What makes me who I am? I was at a minister's retreat several years ago, and the guy started the retreat by saying, where does your heart run to when the world sets it free? That tells you something about who you are. Where does your heart run to when the world sets it free? What do you value? What do you want? You start beginning to get it, who you are. Horoscopes. I typed in, I was Googling this to see what AI had to say. I said, should a Capricorn, and I got that far, and it filled it in, guess what it said? Should a Capricorn marry a Gemini? And it said, this is what it said. I have to tell you this. Yes, a Capricorn can marry a Gemini. While Capricorns crave stability and structure, is that you? They crave stability and structure. Geminis seek freedom and variety, meaning they have to work hard to blend together. Now listen, more people read horoscopes in America than go to the psychologist. Now, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I don't believe in horoscopes. Don't throw tomatoes at me. I mean, that's another way to try to get at types. You know, what stars were you born under? And again, I don't necessarily believe that because I think people believe that and they see it as their destiny. I'm this way and I'm never going to change. You know, I need structure. I can't tolerate chaos. And that's the way I am. Okay, the other is, how many of you are aware of the four temperaments? That was, the Greeks started the four temperaments. And it was popular up until the 17th and 18th century, the four temperaments. The first temperament is the sanguine. They're versatile people, but they're very superficial. The melancholic, deep, self-involved, hesitating, moody. My wife tells me I'm moody. The chloric. What are y'all laughing at? Not moody. The chloric is active, intense, tenacious. The Phlegmatic, thank you, Rob, is soft, cold, and slow. And then they just went all wild at it. And through the centuries, it was, they're labeling people, you're this, you're that, and then we have, moving up to more modern times, we have what Anita was talking about, Carl Jung's four typologies. The two main types are the extrovert and the introvert. How many have ever taken the Myers-Briggs test? Okay. But the person who's very extroverted, they like parties, they like crowds, they like going places, and the introvert just like to stay home and just be quiet and, sit on the bench and watch the sunset or whatever, And maybe I'm oversimplifying it. Anita says, yeah. But then there's a thinking type, the feeling type, the sensations and the intuitions, all of that. I've never taken that test, but I find it interesting. I was in a group of people one time that had taken the test, and one of the guys got really upset and said, "Your Janus keeps stepping on my penis." But anyway, I think we can get carried away with that stuff and kind of get in a box that we really don't belong in that box, Sometimes I'm extroverted, and sometimes I'm introverted. Sometimes I like a crowd of people, and sometimes I like to be just alone. How many of you are like that? Probably most of you, Anyway, I'm probably not doing full justice to that Myers-Briggs, but there's books about it. You read from a book, right, Anita? Okay. So don't take my word totally for it. And then last but not least is the Enneagrams. And how many people have done, I know James John told me he had done Enneagrams. Anybody else done Enneagrams? Okay. What's your take on that? Was it valuable to you?
Yes. Yes, especially hearing what your husband said about you might not line up with what you thought about your own self. So then you have to judge your husband. Yeah.
Barbara, did you benefit from Enneagrams? No. Well, the thing that I thought was unique about Enneagrams, I didn't read a whole lot, you can read all you want to on AI about it, but was that it focused on the emotional life. What moves us in deep ways emotionally. What makes us laugh, what makes us cry. What really moves us emotionally is what I thought that test was getting at. Anyway, what am I giving you all this information for? I don't know why. Just to let you know that this is something that humans have been searching and searching and searching for from the beginning of time. Been searching for it. I was raised a Christian, and I taught Old and New Testament at Bavard College for 10 years. I've read the Bible every time I taught my classes, and every time you read it, I'm going to read it, which meant I read it over and over and over and over and over and over. So I've been inside that mythology, and I like to get inside that mythology and play around sometimes. But did you know Jesus was from the tribe of lions? How many knew that? Jesus from the tribe of lions, Judah. Because if you go back in ancient Israel, all the 12 tribes are all named after animals. Again, we're back at animals again, And it doesn't say Dan is like a snake, the tribe of Dan. It says the tribe of Dan is a snake. And the tribe of Issachar is a donkey. And it's tying each tribe to their occupations. He's a donkey because he's laborer. So they're donkeys. Dan is a snake. You can't trust him. To be fair, it says one of the tribes is like Reuben, is like water. They're very unstable. Very unstable. And then it goes on to say, Judah is the tribe of lion. And then if you read the New Testament, it says Judah is from the tribe of Judah, which is the lion tribe. But when you think about Jesus being from the lion tribe, another animal they compare Jesus to, the lamb, led to the slaughter, doesn't protest. So again, we're back at animals. But where was I going with that? I don't know. Interesting, though, that the New Testament calls the masses of people sheep. Sheep. The really tragic thing about sheep is that they just follow along. They never wonder. They follow any voice that comes along. And again, teaching the New Testament, I know what it says. And at one point, John, it says that people are following the voice of the wolf. The sheep are following the wolf's voice. The people, they're the amorphous people. And I don't mean that as a judgment, I mean that as a tragedy. The people the masses of people who never stop to ask the question, who am I? What am I? They just follow like sheep. Whatever voices they hear. If the voice says we're going to bomb Iran, they're all for it. And that's as far as I'll go with that. But they just follow. And they follow to the point where if the leader jumps off the cliff, they'll jump off the cliff. If the leader says drink the Kool-Aid, they'll drink the Kool-Aid. The sheep, the masses of sheep. And again, I'm not being judgmental. It's a tragedy that in our world, this sheepish-like mentality. Anyway, I'll stop that. One of the first UU retreats I went on, they joked about Unitarian Universalists, and they said, well, how do you herd cats? And then a year later, I went back and they changed it to, how do you herd border collies? Unitarian Universalists are what I've discovered, are fiercely independent people, typically. And they don't like being told what to think. That's what I've discovered. But really what I really liked was that I liked that. I was attracted to that. I was attracted to not being the authority figure who says, all right, when the preacher says it, you better do it. So I tried that on my first congregation. They said, oh, wait a minute. I said, this is a democratic society. You use a democratic society. And everybody in UU has a voice. But what I want to close with is this. Is that, whatever you make of all of this, the important thing is that you ask yourself from time to time that question, who am I? You turn those eyes back around and you look into your deep self. Because I want to tell you something, with your temperament, your type, and who you are, you're beautiful. You're powerful in that. And you look at yourself and you examine yourself. And the second thing I want to tell you is that we learn to respect those differences. In our men's group last week, Rob raised the question, how far should UUs go in their principles? And, should we accept everything and everybody? And my thought was that the least we can do is try to respect another human being for who they are. And again, learn that we're a diverse group, but we're all one in a sense of our search for that truth and meaning in our own lives. Well, thank you for listening, and be your animal, be yourself. James and John, all yours.
You're a tough act to follow.
Certainly are.
Well, this is a song by Garth Brooks. More people know Garth Brooks than Holly Near, I suspect. And he wrote this. His sister is also a performing musician. She's an out lesbian. And he wrote this song. And some of his fans started booing him for writing and performing this song. Well, he has continued to do it, and I understand that he closes lots of his concerts with this powerful song.
We'll see if the orchestra is tuned up.
This ain't coming from no prophet, just an ordinary man.
When I close my eyes, I see the way this world will be when we all walk hand in hand.
When the last child cries for a crust of bread,
When the last man dies for just words that he said, when there's shelter over the poorest head, we shall be free. When the last thing we notice is the color of skin,
and the first thing we look for is the beauty within.
when the skies and the ocean are clean again, we shall be free. Oh, we shall be free. We shall be free. Stand straight, walk round. We shall be free. Yes, free. When we're free to love anyone we choose, when there's world's big enough for all different views, when we all can worship from our own kind of views, we shall be free. Oh, we shall be free. We shall be free. Have a little faith, have a little faith. Hold out, we shall be free. Free. We shall be free.
And when money talks for the very last time,
And nobody walks a step behind, when there's only one race, humankind, then we shall be free. Oh, we shall be free. We shall be free. Stand straight, walk round,
have a little faith.
hold out, we shall be free. Oh, we shall be free.
Brooks, yes. And thank you all for coming this morning. I hope you have a wonderful day. We're going to sing together this song. Oh, we're going to extinguish the chalice first. And Anita's going to do that. And John and Sandy, have a safe trip and a wonderful summer. And if we could, let's grab a hand and we'll sing this song. If you don't know it, just hum along. Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Blessings to all of you. Have a nice day.
Are you a rabbit or a